May campaign by wearing gray to show support and help and raise awareness. And whereas brain tumors, both primary, originating in the brain tissue, and secondary, originating in other parts of the body that metastasize to the brain, are diagnosed in people of all ages, races, socioeconomic status, and gender each year and continue to rise annually. And whereas more than 688,000 people in the USA are living with a primary or central nervous system condition, and an estimated 138,000 Americans have been diagnosed with malignant tumors of the brain, which are life threatening because they grow rapidly and spread to surrounding brain tissues. And whereas brain tumors are all among the deadliest forms of cancer, with just 28% 5-year relative survival rate, and are the second leading cause of cancer-related deaths in young people under age 20. And whereas increased public awareness of brain tumors through advocacy and support for targeted research, as well as education about the impact brain tumors have on patients, families, and caretakers' lives, are critical to support and action for a cure. And whereas James R. Teague Jr., an active community advocate, was first diagnosed with a primary brain tumor in May 2015 and later died on June 8, 2019, due to aggressive cancerous brain lesions throughout the entire brain, and there was no cure for James and others like him. We now, therefore, I, Eric H. Jones, Mayor, along with my colleagues of the City Commission, Vice Mayor Brian C. Johnson, and Commissioners Felicia Brunson, Anthony Dorsett, and Brandon Smith, do hereby proclaim the month of May 2020 as National Brain Tumor Awareness Month in the city of West Park, and call this recognition to the attention of all citizens. At this time, Vice Mayor Johnson want to make comments?
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Mayor, I greatly appreciate this. Symptoms could appear, but the tumor could have grown rapidly over time. This is what happened to my late husband, James R. Teague Jr., whose tumor slowly grew over time until he was first diagnosed in May of 2015. He was a man in his prime years, a man that got annual doctor exams and blood work, who ate healthily and exercised regularly. He went from a physically strong, highly intelligent, and educated man to a man that can no longer do any basic life skill sets, including talking, walking, dressing himself, or eating. Only about 28% of people diagnosed with brain tumors or cancer survive to the 5th year. My husband, James, did not survive 5 years after being diagnosed. He passed away in our home in hospice on June 8th, 2019. My goal is to bring brain cancer awareness to every citizen around this country. We need proper funding, just like breast cancer, to research and develop effective treatment and a cure for brain cancer. Thanks again to the City of West Park for this proclamation. I humbly ask that you all please wear gray in May and to support and brain cancer awareness. Again, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Commission. This was a person, a good man, has fallen to this disease, and you have a family that's determined to ensure that they are there to help. We do have a signed, framed proclamation of the family that I'll be sure to deliver on the Commission's behalf. Thanks again. That's all for me.
Thank you also for the consideration, and the family have our condolences. At this time, there's no the opportunity for the public to address. Do we have any public address to be read?
Yes, I have 3 to read into the record.
Okay. Okay, go ahead, Sid.
All right.
Madam Clerk.
The first one is from resident Dr. Katrina Touchstone. On the consent agenda, item 1 lists the contract agreement for Feeding South Florida for the weekly free fresh foods distribution. Upon review of the terms of the contract, there wasn't anything in the contract that precluded the delivery of fresh food to residents in need within the service areas, as what was advised by Mr. Balagon on April 18th and subsequently by Mr. Garcia on April 25th. I provided Mr. Garcia with a list of names and addresses that I was asked to provide on April 18th, so that the staff fresh produce to those individuals that were on the list. When I called on Saturday, April 25th, to check on the status, I was told that the contract restricted this from being done. Why was I asked to produce a list for delivery, and when I provided the list, the terms change again? I'm asking for things. 1, accountability as to what occurred with me and other volunteers. 2, staff nor elected officials should be able to provide false information without reprimand and corrective action. 3, formulation of a process by which food donated weekly by Feeding South Florida can get to people that need it that live in the city, but for whatever reason are unable to drive through to come get it for themselves. 4, outline clearly the volunteer selection process of how volunteers are pre-approved and selected. Thank you. The second was submitted by resident Christina Evelard. Question 1, when was the last date an independent audit report of the financial statement of the City of West Park was submitted to the Florida auditor? Can you please have staff email a copy of the last report that was done? How soon is the filing of the next independent report due? Question 2, I submitted my name to the city clerk to be added to the pre-register volunteer 2 weeks ago. I would like to know what date I will be scheduled to volunteer at the food distribution in the City of West Park, Florida. What is the proper procedure for volunteer pre-registration? Question 3, I would like to know if the commissioners and mayor can put together a proper procedure for food distribution to homebound residents, especially top priority to seniors and disabled. On April 18th, Katrina Touchstone was prohibited from taking food to the seniors she looks out for. Caesar and Mr. Balagon told her she must give them the list of seniors and they will have staff deliver to the seniors. On April 25th, I informed Caesar that Gwen Tolbert, a senior, needed food delivered to her place. Food was delivered. And after April 25th, I texted Caesar the name of 3 more homebound seniors or disabled that in need of food from Feeding South Florida. Caesar replied stating he is no longer doing food distribution from Feeding South Florida to seniors. He is only doing Meals on Wheels. Now, Brian Johnson states in Facebook conversation with Katrina that she can let him know the name of the seniors, people that need delivery to their home. Everyone is making up their own rules with lack of communication among the commissioners and city staff. The seniors are expecting their food. I am receiving calls as to why they did not get their food on May 2nd, 2020. I would appreciate if the commissioners and staff can incorporate a homebound food delivery. Homebound seniors and people without vehicles do matter. The third was submitted by resident Christine Judakis, 3700 Southwest 39th Street. She has asked me to read these comments again from the previous meeting on April 22nd. I would like to commend our city staff and elected officials on the handling of the COVID-19 pandemic in the City of West Park. The notifications have been coming out in a timely manner through the text messages, as well as the various social media sites. I was able to volunteer at the food giveaway on Saturday and thought staff did a phenomenal job of making sure that all those that needed assistance received it without incident. I've heard from several members of our senior community that have also expressed their gratitude to the city for ensuring that they are receiving meals, and also the calls to ensure that they are okay, given the fact that our senior center cannot be open at this time of social distancing. Thank you for all you have done and continue to do on behalf of the residents of the great city of West Park. Those are the public comments.
Thank you, Madam Clerk, and thank all of those that sent in their comments. At this time, we also have advisory board, and I don't think we have no advisory board presentations. Broward Sheriff's Office, are you on the line? Any updates? Do we have anyone from Broward Sheriff's Office or the Fire Department?
Please unmute. I will go ahead and unmute.
Hello.
Do we have Broward Sheriff's?
Hi, this is Captain Stephanie Coker. There's no comments at this time.
No comments. Thank you. Item 10 on our agenda are resolutions. These are consent items. If I can obtain a motion.
I'll make a motion
to pull item number 1.
All right, okay, make a motion excluding item number 1.
Make a motion to approve consent agenda items with the exception of item number 1.
Second. Moving second, any discussion?
Second.
A second, any discussion? No discussion, roll call. Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Brunson,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Johnson,
Yes.
Commissioner Smith,
Yes.
Commissioner Dorsett,
Yes.
Mayor Jones,
Yes.
motion passes.
Commissioner Brunson?
Mr. Mayor, yes, Mr. Mayor, I wanted to make a recommendation that we hold the next couple of feedings on May 16th, May 30th, June 13th, and June 27th, which basically is every other weekend. That would be my motion.
Anyone would like to address that in
Yes.
any way?
Let me jump in there. In my agenda meeting, I gave some feedback to the manager that I think we as a city have a natural instinct to want to serve anybody, everybody, everywhere that we can, and certainly appreciate the fact that we've been doing every Saturday for the last 3 weeks. I did, though, provide him with a caution that we manage and we monitor. We monitor first and then manage the exertion of staff, the exertion of the same volunteers, the exertion of this commission, so that we don't burn anybody out in trying to perform up to 6 hours in the sun on our feet every single Saturday. So the proposed doing a scheduling so that those staff and the pre-approved volunteers and the commission know in advance which Saturdays, not be every Saturday, that everybody is scheduled. But that would be the compromise, Commissioner Bronson, to doing it every week and expecting the same people to carry the 6 hours every Saturday, which is the 6th day of a full work week. So if the manager wants to add any comments to Commissioner Brunson's suggestion of every other week.
So let me just explain a little bit more. First of all, it's not just staff. We have certain volunteers that have made commitments that we have signed up, and I just feel that doing it every other week, we are still able to serve our community and do what we need to do. That's most of the cities across the county are also doing it every other week. It's just a lot for staff. Even though I understand you're saying staff has an opportunity to make a decision whether they can come or not, it's just a lot. And again, we are not trying to deny the fact that we're trying to serve, but I just think it's fair to give everybody a little break every other weekend. It's just a common, just a peace offering to give everybody a break every other weekend. That's just my suggestion.
Along those same lines, I think that staff, a lot of times staff, they're very compassionate about what they're doing, and they do feel like it's more of an obligation for them rather than them being not volunteer, but voluntold involuntarily. And I do empathize with them, and I do appreciate the fact that what they're doing is a noble event, but I want them to feel comfortable and not feel like, even though they're supposed to be volunteer, that they're really obligated to do.
I think that what it also says is that they will not use staff every week. They have a list of volunteers where they can stagger them. And I can understand and I know I haven't been there the last 3 weeks because I had a homegoing services for the last 3 weeks. But the whole thing is that, yeah, we have a crisis and we have people that week we miss. And so it's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. Yeah, so my thing is, if it can be staggered to the degree that you're not overworking anyone, then yeah, I would consent to just making it available as regular as possible. If not, then yeah, we can use the alternative. But if the city manager can address it to the point of saying that it would not be the same people on a regular basis, but they'll be delegated and they'll have enough, and I'm pretty sure there's enough volunteers because there's a church involved, and from what I understand, Broward College is also going to be involved. So you're not talking about just using those that are here among us. You got a broad range of volunteers, so they can stagger those. And when they stagger those, then basically probably it will not be that much of a strain or a stress on the same people. Just my opinion.
And Mr. Mayor, actually, you just made a point that I do want to clarify. So there are specific organizations who've been partnering with the city. We've been doing this for 5 years, at least once a month for 5 years. And so we've gotten really, really good at recruiting and assigning volunteers to have a efficient, well-organized feeding, which we've enjoyed. So yeah, there wouldn't be I don't think there's a risk of having the exact same volunteers every Saturday, because we do have specific organizations that have partnered with us that we can stagger, as you said, Mr. Mayor. I really am more so concerned about the staff who play an essential role in the initial setup and the post cleanup every Saturday, every time we do it.
Because we've been going straight. So I figured to give a break this weekend and then start the next week with every other weekend. But that's just a suggestion.
And Mr. Mayor, I would also like to hear the city manager's take on it as it relates to staff and their participation, so that we can better, diagnose it and come up with a viable solution to where all concerns are met, without burden on anyone.
Vice Mayor, I see your hand.
Yeah, I was just going to say to Commissioner Smith's point that I need the manager to ensure, state, based on his and my conversation, his plan to stagger the assignments so that we can still accommodate every week feeding, but we'll do it with the strategic scheduling of the people who will perform it. So I need to hear from the manager.
All right, city manager. City manager, you online?
Yes, I just want to confirm and assure you that employees that are volunteering to come out will be staggered and will be given directive not to even show up every week, and even taking the day off if they should show up during the week, which is what we do. Again, it's something